Hey everyone, welcome into Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. Burley, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing, Expat?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So we're ready to talk about Picard Season 3, Episode 4, no-win scenario. We're not going to be
The
talking about
Kobayashi.
the Kobayashi Maru. We're not going to be talking about that, no. We're going to be talking about
Oh, you
Picard.
lied to me. That's what.
So we're going to be talking about Picard Season 3, Episode 4. But before we get into it, just want to let all of you know, like all of our other shows here on the Arena Productions, usually our recap and discussions are spoiler-filled when we're talking about the previous episodes that dropped during the week. So if you have not seen Picard Season 3, Episode 4 yet, please go to Paramount Plus and watch the episode, and then come back and enjoy this video. So with that said, that is your spoiler warning. So let's jump right into it, Burley. So I want to show the image here of Seven, or of course Commander Hansen. But I just one of the parts of the early part of the episode that I really liked was when she's with Riker, and Riker is saying, "Hey, I can reinstate you, but we need to keep this hush hush because we can't really, just throw out there that there's a changeling on the ship."
Yeah.
And so he's like, just be discreet and catch the son of a beep, and I really like that part. And so she goes out to try to find this changeling and everything. Yeah, what did you think of that? And then what did you think of Riker overall in this episode? Because I mean, at the beginning he felt really vulnerable because the ship is just spinning to its destruction, so to speak, and Riker's basically like trying to come to grips with the fact that he's going to die. And he's telling Picard that you should probably try to spend some time with your son because we're all going to die. So what did you think of that? And of course the scene with Seven.
Start off with the scene with Seven. I think those are really good. Just and being like, yeah, I could reinstate you, but right now I need you to do this, and it's kind of an ass that you're not part of Starfleet right now, so you can just go do this.
Right.
I like that, and then he is defeated. He's crushed because it's like he ran away to help Picard go do this. He's running away from stuff that has happened in his own personal life because he lost his son.
Yeah.
And it's just like now he's out here. He wants to be with his wife. He wants to talk with Deanna and all that.
Yeah.
But he can't.
Yeah.
He can't. He's stuck in this, and it's like,
yeah.
And he debates on he records a message but deletes it and all that. And it's just like he is defeated. He's like, basically, is it worth leaving this if she's never going to get this and all that?
Yeah. And what did you think of at the very beginning of the episode? It was another 5 years ago, and he's in 10 forward. He's a Guinan's bar, and then all these, they look like cadets or something. They come up and they start asking him all these questions about all these missions, these famous missions from like the Next Generation. And it was cool that he actually brought up Darmok, which was one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Of course, Shaka, when the walls fell. It's with I'm trying to remember his name now. The famous actor. It'll come back to me in a second, but
I'm trying to remember myself. I can't, but that is
Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield, yes.
Winfield.
I mean, some of the greatest episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation were brought up, but I mean, he's sitting there and he can't even finish his meal. He can't even start the meal because he's got all these like cadets coming up and asking him questions and all. But yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So then we get to the scene with Jack and Picard in the holodeck, because obviously the holodeck doesn't take much power away from the ship. I mean, I have to admit, bro, there was a lot of technobabble in this episode.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I am not going to attempt to get into the nitty-gritty of all the technical aspects of this episode. It was really cool, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyway, the conversation here was pretty cool. It is funny how Jack, I knew he was going to say, "I'm not a wine guy."
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, so they're they're drinking together, and it is funny. He's like asking Picard, like, you know, how long before I'm gonna lose my hair? You know, so Picard was
Yeah.
like, say, how old are you? Like 23, 24. So enjoy it while it lasts. So what did you think overall of their conversation here?
I liked it. It was a good little kind of, I only say kind of bonding moment because you got Jack that's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're my dad.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're about to die, so fine, I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
And you got Picard that's really trying. He's trying too hard,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's
but I
like,
really like the when he starts talking about Jack Crusher, when they were on the Stargazer, and then of course they took off
mhm,
on the shuttlecraft, and then they just got into like a storm and some type of storm in space, and they lost all control and everything, and they were flying blind and everything. And then as he's talking about this, guess who comes in? Captain Shaw. Oh man,
Captain Dick.
yeah, but he was great in this
Yeah.
episode, though. He
Oh,
was
he was
great in
awesome.
this episode. He's growing on me. I have to say, I'm really enjoying, Captain Shaw, the guy from Chicago, and it's interesting. Like he's sitting there, and he starts talking to Jack about, do you know when the first time I met your father? I had a run in with your father, and he brings up
Oh,
Wolf 359, obviously Wolf 359. And what's interesting about that, he actually says the amount of people that died during that conflict, like 11,000 people, you know. And it brings back memories of the very first episode of Deep Space Nine, of course, Emissary,
yeah.
when Cisco met Picard, because Picard and the Enterprise docked on Deep Space Nine to begin the series, and Picard was going to welcome Cisco. He was still a commander at that time, to take over DS9, and Cisco just gets right in his face and says, "The last time we met was at Wolf 359."
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that scene with Shaw and the Wolf 359?
I really like that. That was just a great scene. It's like, oh shoot, they're gonna tie this back that he met him back. For those that don't know, when Picard in Next Generation becomes Locutus of Borg,
That's right.
they
That's right.
tie it all back to that. It was actually, I was like, I love that. And Shaw's like, yeah, I was just an engineer, I'm just a
Yeah.
simple engineer.
Just
That's
a
a
grease monkey.
monkey.
Yeah,
Yep.
just a grease monkey. Yeah. And yeah, so now let's get to obviously the changelings, and
Yeah.
obviously Vatic is a changeling. We find out. I mean, it's like she cuts her hand off, and then it turns into the liquid
Mhm.
there, and like some kind of monster type of figure, and he's like, report, and stuff like
Yeah.
so obviously they can link and communicate with each other, obviously. But what did you think of the special effects here? I mean, because it's a lot different than it was way back in the the early 90s with DS9 with Odo.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did you like the look of these changelings here?
The changeling here, I didn't think this looked that good. Like, I get it is TV budget compared to like movie budget,
Hmm.
but like this just looked like mid 2000 CG
Okay.
to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, how'd you feel about the CG here for
I thought it
the.
was pretty cool, actually. I mean, obviously, I mean, Vatic. I mean, she cuts off just her hand, so
Yeah.
obviously, the I mean, the whoever's talking to her can't, completely form into some solid shape. So
Mhm.
obviously, it looks like kind of like a skull, like a monster type of figure there. And I kind of like that, and I like the voice too as well.
I like the voice. The voice
Yeah.
I really did like. I was like, oh, okay, this is intimidating. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we get to obviously Picard. They figure out a plan of how to get out of the nebula there, and Crusher, Beverly Crusher, basically during the episode, she's figured out that this, they're sinking into the deeper and deeper into the the nebula, but actually it's a life form, and it's like the womb of you know, a creature that's about to give birth, and it's been giving off these pulses and all. And basically they figure out if they can get like piggyback off of one of these pulses, they can jump out and get out of the nebula. And so anyway, Picard, he takes over, you know, he sits in the captain's chair, so you get all the little nostalgia there, you know. So and of course, you know, Riker's, he's number one again and all. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then obviously we get to Shaw, who's working on the nacelles. You know, he's being a grease monkey again, because it was funny, you know, Picard asked him, you know, could you do this again? You know, be a grease monkey again. Yeah. So anyway, he's working on the nacelles, and obviously they're hoping to draw in the, you know, the changeling that's still on the ship, because obviously the other ensign that the changeling had took over the body of had been found. It was, you know, dead. And so then, yeah, Sidney LaForge comes in there, and you think Sidney LaForge is going to give him a hand and all, and who is standing right there and puts the phaser right in her face? Good old Seven. And you know, was like, I didn't tell anybody to come here. And then you know, Seven is saying, Commander who? And then she says Commander Hansen, which was the big mistake, because obviously Sidney LaForge always refers to, you know, Commander Hansen as Commander Seven, you know, out of respect. And so she just blasted her, and obviously it was the changeling.
Like,
and then it's like, you know, Shaw's like, you know, like, nice one, you know. So, what did you think of this sequence of scenes here when they finally got the changeling? Yeah,
I like that you knew it was the changeling, because you had the scene early, just before they got cut to this with Seven and Riker talking. Right, and Riker's like, do you want anyone? Yeah. And he says, Seven's like, no, we don't want anyone, need anyone. Yeah. Only has to be us.
Yeah. And it was interesting earlier in the episode when Seven went to Shaw in his quarters and all, and you know, she gave him the pad, and you know, he was looking at it, and then he was telling her, this is what you need to look for and all. And on that pad you see Odo's photo, and there's like a pot. Obviously that's what they would use to regenerate, and I guess that's what Odo would use to regenerate back in Deep Space Nine time. So so she's going through the quarters, and you know, in the ensign's quarters there, and finds a pot just like that, and she's going to have it analyzed and all. But it was cool that they actually found her, you know, or found the changeling. And it was interesting that they used you know, Sidney LaForge there, Ensign LaForge's you know, shape. But yeah,
well, the changeling thought this was my best chance. Changeling was wrong.
That's right. Yeah. So obviously, of course, towards the end of the episode, they're able to piggyback off of the pulse energy there, and get towards the you know, the end of the nebula strand there. And what was really cool is how Riker was able to use the tractor beam and take an asteroid and fling it at the, you know, at the Wraith, and severely damage it. And of course they were able to get away, and they see, of course, all these new life forms, because you know, they had as they were getting out, they were born. They look like these like squid type of creatures, but it was really, really cool. So this is the scene here, in the image of them looking at what they're seeing outside, of course, Captain Shaw and you know, Commander Seven. Yeah. And then at the end of the episode, I want your take on this, Burley. So of course we get Jack in his quarters, or in a room there, and he's washing his face and all, and then he starts to see these images again, like this kind of like red, I don't know, there's like a red door, and then he sees these images of like of these red like webs coming up all over the place here. Do you think this is what the changelings are after him for?
Oh yeah, this is why they want him badly. He has seen some stuff that they're wanting to get the info on.
Yeah. So I think, hopefully we'll find out in the next episode what that is. But now, we saw it when he was suffering from the gas poisoning. When Seven came into the room, and what's it's like Seven was in that image, there as well. But so we shall see. So no Rafi, no Worf in this episode. We still haven't got Geordi yet. So I'm hoping, because next week is episode 5 and it's a 10 episode season. So next week is the mid season point. So I'm hoping that they get to Geordi next week, which I'm expecting they do, because now they're out of the nebula and they're back into Federation territory. So they'll be able to get repairs, and they'll be able to go to the Fleet Museum where Geordi is in command, and maybe get some intel or information. And of course, they're going to pick up Worf and Rafi at some point. So what do you expect to see in the next episode?
Well, Geordi, I think, is a safe bet we'll get. Like, we got a small glimpse of Deanna at the end with Riker talking to her quick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised wherever they dock to go, where they go meet, because they're going to meet Geordi. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Deanna.
Yeah, I think we're going to get them all together. Yeah, because at some point in one of the trailers for the season, you see them all sitting in like a ready room together. So, I think at some point, maybe in the next episode, we'll get them. We shall see. It'll be interesting. So, the next episode is titled Imposter. So, I wonder who that is. And Vatic is still out there, and obviously we know that Vatic is a changeling now. So,
and there's people believe there could be some changelings in Starfleet.
Yeah, so. Changelings in Starfleet, and now I'm starting to think, Burley, that Lore might actually be a changeling as well.
Could be.
Yeah. So we shall see. But interesting stuff, and we're looking forward to bringing you the next episode of Picard. So season 3, episode 5, titled Imposter. Next week when it comes out, we'll be doing our recap and discussion of the episode. So until then, this has been Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. So take care, everyone. Live long and prosper, and we'll catch you next week. Take care. Peace.
Take care.
Out.